Do you want to know who the big bettors have on today's card? How about the betting syndicates in Vegas? Do you want to know what their top plays are today? Well, guys, you can get them at picknation.com, courtesy of the Insider Money Moves service. Listen, a lot of guys claim to have late-breaking steam moves. A lot of guys in this business claim to have inside information. It's all marketing. It's all hype. It's all BS. It doesn't exist. Insider Money Moves service, however, we've got our sources in the top Vegas casinos passing on the plays of the biggest bettors and the big betting syndicates to us, and we provide them to you, courtesy of the Insider Money Moves service. And I've got a great opportunity for you. Normally, 7 days of the service costs $179. I'm going to give it to you for just $5 using the coupon code you see below at picknation.com, Insider5. You enter that when prompted in your shopping cart. It'll save you $174. That's right, guys. 7 days of service. Just $5. Insider Money Moves. Get it now. Use the coupon code over at picknation.com. Welcome back, everyone, to the Countdown to Kickoff program. Al DeMarco here along with Steve Budin. This is the only nationally televised show to break down all your games on an NFL Sunday from a point spread perspective. First game here we're going to take a look at in the second half of the program. New England and Seattle. To say the Patriots offense has been humming would be a little bit of an understatement. 83 points, 1,024 yards total offense the past 2 games. But what has really impressed me is the fact that this team has suddenly found a new identity. This is a New England team that can run the ball. I mean, last week in the game at home against Denver, they had their most rushing yards, over 200, biggest total since 1978 when Sam Bam Cunningham was doing the running for him. I mean, this guy, Stephen Ridley, has really had a great start to the season, 3 times over 100 yards.
Yeah, I mean, and to me, like I said earlier, football is a game of quarterbacks, and obviously New England has the big advantage here in the quarterback department. But at the end of the day, I've been banking on this Seattle defense, Al, since week 1. Loved them under last week. Love them under again. Now, I know betting the under, not a sexy bet, but there is nothing more sexy than cashing a ticket. So at the end of the day, you try to win the game, and this game, I think, is going under.
That's an interesting thought on this contest. I hadn't really considered the total because naturally when you think about the Patriots, you think high-scoring games. Right. I just gave you what they've done recently. 31-12 overrun for Bill Belichick's Patriots. Seattle certainly has the defense. It's been reflected in a 5-0 underperformance this season, but I think it's not only the defense, it's the fact that the offense has been miserable. It's Marshawn Lynch running the ball, which eats up time on the clock, and then it's also the fact that, you know, Russell Wilson has played like a rookie quarterback you would expect him to play.
But they don't just play great defense. When they're at home, they turn it up a notch. Just ask Aaron Rodgers. He spent a lot of time running for his life.
The difference between the Patriots game in Seattle and that Packers game in Seattle was this, as far as I'm concerned. Aaron Rodgers was playing behind an offensive line that was leaky in terms of protection. That's why he was sacked 8 times. And he didn't have a ground game to give him any support because Cedric Benson was worthless. This is a Patriots team that has more offensive weaponry. Tom Brady at the peak performance. And Tom Brady is not scared about having to go to the Pacific Northwest. Oh, gee, I got to go play at CenturyLink Field. The 12th man is really going to get me. Yeah, you know, Tom's married to Giselle. He has a lot of worries in the world, like me and you should as well. You know, I think this is a cheap price because a lot of people have bought into the Seattle mystique.
I see that.
And that's why I would go ahead. I'd buy down the half point if you had 4.5 or 4, and I'd ride New England in this particular contest and not even look back or think about it twice. And by the way, the Patriots have covered 11 of their last 16 as a road favorite against NFC squads. Steve, before we get to the Arizona-Buffalo game, which I figure we might as well talk about this
Everybody
now because
can't wait for that.
I mean, you might be falling asleep before we talk about that game. If you have a mercy killing in the NFL, it would be the Arizona-Buffalo game, I think. But listen, let's talk about the Fantasy Football League contest we run over at picknation.com. $500 of total prize money at stake. We upped the ante a couple of weeks ago. It's been a huge response, and it's a free contest to enter.
And just keep entering it over and over again because it doesn't matter how many times you enter. The contest is free. It's on picknation.com. You'll see the big ad for Draft Street there. Just click through, pick out your team, a couple of quarterbacks, a couple of running backs. You pick out a defense. It's a great competition. I haven't gotten anywhere close to the money yet, but that'll all change this week.
Yeah, right. Okay, but listen, the bottom line is this. You can enter for free, $500 in total prize money at stake, and the contest is over after the Monday night game, guys. On Tuesday, you're going to know who finished in the money. So check it out right now at picknation.com, free fantasy football league contest. Next game is going to be your contest between Arizona and Buffalo. You know, the good thing I can say about Arizona is that they had a couple extra days rest after Kevin Kolb needed it, getting sacked 9 times in that Thursday night loss 2 weeks ago at St. Louis. But they're coming home. It's an injury-riddled team. Lost both their top running backs in this contest, as Ryan Williams is now out for the season. Beanie Wells out another 4 to 5 weeks. But you have the elephant in the window, which is the Buffalo Bills defense, or should we say lack of defense. I mean, the Bills have given up 97 points and 1,201 yards the last 2 games. Granted, they played against the Patriots and 49ers. I can understand that. But even Arizona should be able to score some points here.
If you're a believer in Arizona, this is a great spot to bet them. Obviously, they had the lackluster performance against the Dolphins. Then they go ahead and lose to the Rams in St. Louis. So you got a lot of value here after coming off of those 2 games if you believe in Arizona. What I believe is that Arizona has an opportunistic defense. And that goes along with Ryan Fitzpatrick, because he loves any opportunity that he can get to throw the ball into the defender's hands. He led the league in giveaways last year. He's got 8 already this year. I see that trend continuing here. I like Arizona in this spot.
And listen, the Bills have only covered 4 of their last 14 games. Meanwhile, the Cardinals have covered 5 of their last 7 at home. And, you know, this Arizona defense is for real. And the biggest thing going, I think, for the Cardinals in their advantage here is the fact that Buffalo doesn't rush the quarterback. And after Kevin Kolb's been sacked 17 times in the games against...
It's a big problem. They can't protect him.
Right. I mean, and without a ground game that can give you any type of support, that's going to be key. Listen, the top 3 running backs for Arizona coming into this game, they've combined for 10 yards on 15 carries for the season. That's how desperate they are to get a running back and to get a ground game going. But I do think minus the 5 points. But you know what I always say, you don't put good money on bad teams, and this is a bad game with 2 bad teams. San Francisco and the New York Giants. Polar opposites here, guys.
Right.
Now you're looking at the game. We know the history. 49ers took the regular season contest. 49ers blew the playoff game last year, cost them a shot at the Super Bowl. I think the most interesting thing in this game is how the line has just powered up because the public has just jumped all over the 49ers. Can't blame them after the blowout, shutout win 34-0 against the New York Jets on the road last week, destroying the Buffalo Bills at home, where they ran for over 300 yards. Passed for over 300 yards in that contest. This line was 4.5 Tuesday, Wednesday. It went up to 6.5 by Wednesday night. I mean, public is just all over the Niners.
Well, the public knows that Brandon Jacobs is back. They know that Mario Manningham also wants to get a piece of his ex-team. But to me, the Giants here are all banged up, and you have to ask yourself, you know, can the Giants sack machine get going again? Can they deal with the San Francisco running game that's going to continue to come at them all game long? And most of all, can they deal with what I think is the best defense in the league on the San Francisco side? That's why we see this line going to 6.5 points. I look at the total of 46, and while most people are keying in on defense with both of these squads, I think they're going to score and score plentiful. I like over in this game.
I don't really have an opinion. I got to be honest with you on the total. I do like San Francisco. I think San Francisco is going to come out and try to strike early and often in this game. A, because they're in payback, and B, we have seen repeatedly this season how poorly the Giants played defensively in the first half of the game. Found themselves down at Dallas against Dallas at home. Found themselves down at home against Tampa Bay. Last week, found themselves down 14-0 at home against Cleveland. This defense is not playing up to its past reputation, and no sacks the past 2 weeks. So I think maybe a first half play on the Niners. I like the Niners in the game. Don't really have much of an opinion, though, on the total.
Giants seem to be one of those teams that need to have the chips down before they start to play. It's unbelievable. That's why they gave up the first game last year against San Francisco, only to come back and win the second one this year. Probably the same thing happens again this year.
And you know the 49ers have had this one circled on the calendar for weeks, and I like the fact that they didn't get caught looking ahead to this one because they took care of business against a bad Buffalo team last week. We are going to talk about one of the other marquee games on today's card. It's going to be the Houston-Green Bay contest in just a moment. But first, let's talk about the Insider Money Move Service. You know, one of the things that I always get a great laugh about in this business is when I hear guys talking about, oh, we've got the late steam moves or we've got inside information. It's total malarkey and BS, guys. we at PickNation.com, we've got the access because of our scouts at the Vegas casinos to know what the big bettors are getting down on in Vegas and also what the betting syndicates, the crews out there are getting down on. And we provide it to you courtesy of the Insider Money Move service.
And that's the most important thing you said. A lot of these gamblers out there, they'll watch our odds service on PickNation.com because it's a great odds service. It's instant. And they'll see the lines move and they'll become wise guys. They'll think that they can follow the moves like the wise guys do and make money. But the big problem with that is lines move for two reasons. One, because the public is in love with them. And two, because a Sharpie bets it. If you don't know which move is because of the Sharpie and which one's because of the public, you're dead in the water. You're what we call a follower, and you can't win.
Exactly. And guys, with the Insider Money Move service, normally 1 week costs you $179. But if you use the coupon code, which you see at the bottom of the screen, Insider5, you can get 7 days for $5 little dollars, guys. That's how easy it is. $5 for 7 days. Use the coupon code Insider5. It will save you $174. And when you go to the Insider Money Move page at PickNation.com, I've got a video there and a full explanation really of how the service works. It's not for everybody. We'll be the first to admit that. But hey, for $5, you can check it out for 7 days. And you can see the records here, guys, from the past 2 months, from way back in October of 2010 when it started. It has consistently made followers of its service big time money.
And when you do get it, make sure you sign up for all the different ways that you can receive these games because you want to be sure. Some days there's 10 games, some games there's 5 games, some days there's only 2. You want to make sure you always get that access. So sign up for all the different ways to receive the Insider Money Moves.
And like I said, check out the video on the Insider Money Moves page and it'll give you all the details. Again, Insider5 will save you $174. 7 days of the Insider Money Move service for just $5 over at PickNation.com. Steve, the Houston Texans, everybody and their brother bet them last Monday night. Can't blame them. I mean, the New York Jets hadn't shown you anything. Texans just simply did not bring their A game. They toyed with the Jets, and I think that's a sign of a young team that's going definitely up the mountain, but a team that doesn't have that killer instinct yet. And maybe perhaps they got caught looking ahead to this game. Even though the Packers lost last week, blowing the 21-3 lead at Indianapolis, losing to Andrew Luck and the Colts, you know, you just have to be careful when you got Aaron Rodgers on the other side of the field.
You know, going into that game against the Jets, me and probably everybody else saw Houston probably as the best team in the NFL at that moment. But then after the lackluster performance, like you said, against a depleted Jet team, to me, they've lost their air of invincibility. And now I look at Green Bay, same deal, not the scoring machine they were last year. Now, all gamblers out there, they're going to look at this game and see two things. Matt Schaub and Aaron Rodgers, they're going to immediately assume that these guys are going to light it up. They're going to bet over. That's why this line is extended to 47.5. I'm going against them using the power of the line. I'm going under the 47.5 here.
It's interesting. I can certainly see the under here because I think the Packers, especially with Greg Jennings still hurt, with so many of their offensive key players banged up and bruised, they're going to have problems. And I think Aaron Rodgers playing behind that, as I noted earlier, a leaky offensive line that has seen him sacked 21 times in 5 games already this season. Even though Houston lost one of their key linebackers, Brian Cushing, in the Monday night game to a torn ACL, gone for the season, I think Houston's going to bring it here defensively. I can certainly see a lower scoring game than most people would anticipate. At the same time, I think I got to go with Houston on the side here because at 3.5, 4 points, I think it's a bargain basement price, and I think Houston should definitely be laying more in this contest. Well, guys, that'll do it for this week's edition of the Countdown to Kickoff show, and we will catch you again next week on FoxSports.com.